So let's just turn this shit on, see what happens.
All right. I thought it was on. Oh, you already got us on running.
It's on now.
It's on now.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we're going to do this as a special episode, huh?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty cool. We'll just get this. We'll just start. We'll do a little intro here.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Atheist Avengers. Today on NPR, we're going to be... Sounds really low. So, hello, everyone. We decided to do a little special edition here. We've got an exciting guest coming in today, and we're going to do a little interview here and find out about what they've got going on. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. It is a Christian rock band that doesn't believe in God, basically.
From what I'm understanding.
Somewhat like that. Okay, we'll find out more about that very soon. But again, we want to thank everybody for listening. I always want to remind you, if you've got any feedback, please go to atheisavengers.com and send us an email. You can send it to avengers@atheisavengers.com, or you can Facebook us. Hopefully soon you'll be able to Twitter us. I know a lot of you like to Twitter. Neither one of us are twits.
No, we're not twits.
we have a lot of trouble with the Twitter. Doesn't seem to be, it doesn't work very well for me.
No, not for me either.
So what do we got exciting going on? Major Mac, I sure wish you was going to the Reason Rally with us.
I know. My wife and I have tried to think about any way possible we could do it, but we have two little kittens and some other things going on at that time. Actually, it is my wedding anniversary weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah, and so we had discussed it and talked about it, and there was just no way we could come up with a babysitter or anything else at that time. So we was like, well, we'll just stick around here and hold down the homestead.
What better way to spend an anniversary with a bunch of heathens in Washington, D.C.?
I know, it would have been nice.
We're looking forward to it. We're very excited. We've got a little small group coming here from Hickory, and we're going to go up and we're going to roam around. This show is actually going to be released prior to the Reason Rally, so if you're listening to this on your way to the Reason Rally, thank you. We appreciate you listening to us. But when you get to the Reason Rally, make sure you keep up with either the Promoting Secular Feminism page, the Atheist Avengers page, or the Reason NC. It's Reason for NC page, which is the ReasonCon page in Facebook. We will be posting our whereabouts as we're roaming around at the Reason Rally. So we'll have meetup times, and we'll be posting those about an hour before, and give you an opportunity to come over there and say hi to us. Now, if you do this, if you come seek us out, we're going to have some exclusive information about ReasonCon, and we're also going to have a discount code that we're going to give you for tickets when they become available for ReasonCon. But if you want to be the first to know what's going on with the ReasonCon, then you want to go to the Reason Rally and find us. So looking forward to that.
They'll be the second to know. You already let me know.
Yeah, well, that's right. You had to know.
I had to know.
But we're very excited about the Reason Rally, and I think it's going to be great, and I hope to see many, many of you people there. So that's kind of the news we've got going on right now. We are looking at having another Willie Weiner news update.
News you can use?
Yep, hopefully we'll have that for the next episode coming out on the June...
I think it's on the 5th.
Is it the 5th? June 5th. That's right. Because PFF comes out this weekend. We're going to do a special episode this weekend, which is going to be out of sequence.
Right.
And then we're going to have it on June 5th. We'll have a update from Willie Weiner at that time. So look forward to that. All right. Anything else business-wise we've got before we can roll the credits and get this interview started?
Nothing personal I know of going on right now. Nothing newsworthy.
Oh, there's all kinds of newsworthy
Well, there
stuff.
is, yes.
There's a lot of crap that we don't want to get involved with.
I was going to say
either.
a lot of it's still going bad.
And that's the truth. So, all right. Well, let's take a little break. Let's listen to our intro, and then let's go do an interview
with Shannon Low.
You got to thank the Lord, right?
I'm actually an atheist. There is absolutely no doubt that atheism will win hands down.
If I were in a situation where I could stop a child rapist, I would. And that's the difference between me and your God.
Welcome to Atheist Avengers Radio with your hosts, Agent Wyatt Mathers and Major MacGuffin. Our continuing mission is to explore our world, to seek out injustices and oppressive ideologies, to leave science and reason in our wake, fighting for justice, truth, and equality for all. We are here to inspire the next generation of godless heroes, avenge the harms of religion, educate the uninformed, and ensure the well-being of all individuals by defending the separation between church and state. The Atheist Avengers. Because together, we can change the world.
All right, and welcome back to the Atheist Avengers. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Today's guest, we are so excited to have. He is I'm not going to tell you much about him. I'm going to let him introduce himself. So I'm just going to bring him up here. We have Shannon Low with the
Order of Elijah.
The Order of Elijah. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Going great. So I am very intrigued about what's going on with you, because I kind of was in the same situation. Although I wasn't directly a performer, I actually worked in the Christian music industry. I worked a little bit with a recording studio out in Cleveland, Tennessee called Spirit Sound. And we did some demo tracks for like Point of Grace, For Him, Phil Driscoll, Ray Boltz. I met Ray Boltz before all of his controversy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Mm-hmm. But these were definitely not the same type of music that you do. These are soft Christian artists by comparison, I'm sure. But just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're coming from.
Well, I'm from Joplin, Missouri, and we started the band years ago. And I was at the time really a part of this church that's from here in town. We live right in the Bible Belt, so there's a lot of churches around. I found one I started going to, and started getting all wrapped up. I ended up like on the worship team, and I was a leader of like a teenage group and stuff. And that kind of fell apart for a while, but then life tragedy happened. I went through a divorce and stuff, and I kind of got back into church, trying to rekindle that whole thing, and stumbled across some crazy stories that I'd read in the Bible, but I just overlooked. And I don't know if it was that just because of the state of mind I was in or whatever, but it just disturbed me. So I started looking in, I found more, and then I kind of found myself in a conundrum of trying to figure out what was going on. And our band has been Christian this whole time. To make a really long story short, I shed all of my faith, and I took a really good stronghold on the philosophy of atheism, and I started reading a lot of new material that answered a lot of questions that usually just pissed off Christians when I'd even ask it. So I found there were so many different apologist reasons that came from so many. My final conclusion was there's no way most of this is not subjective on the sense of justifying these horrible stories. So after we stepped away from the Christian title last year, hoping that we could kind of separate ourselves from that. I didn't want to really sell that anymore. I didn't want to. I know there's a lot of Christian artists that they no longer believe, but they continue to sell their product, or even pastors. I've met that, that they don't know what else to do. And I really didn't want to do that. So we separated ourselves from that. It really wasn't good enough. We still had a lot of, we were just kind of had a shadow of this Christian, this fundamental Christian following going on. And I finally decided to type up something and just tell everyone what was going on and what happened. And him over at the Friendly Atheist shared it in an article, and we were receiving quite a bit of backlash from the Christian community for a while.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It was getting pretty ugly on our stage, not on our stage, but on our page. And we were preparing for our new tour that's coming up. And after Hemant's article, I was trying to stay as optimistic as I could, even though the page was dive bombing hundreds of likes. We were just getting, just really bad responses. And then after he did that, it was like a cavalry of secular people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them just, said things that I didn't want to go in there. And, there was just so much. We would have so many comments I just felt backed into a corner, which is why I decided to come out and tell everyone the truth. But we've had a really, really good response. I've heard from many people that share the same concerns and people that have been through the same thing. And it quickly let us know that we're not out there alone, and that, it's okay to be who you are. You don't have to, and a lot of people have accused us for trying to sell that, we've had all types of accusations from you never were really a Christian band in the first place.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And you were just trying to make money. And then it's turned into you're not even an atheist in the first place. You're just trying to make money. And I'm like, you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So tell us a little bit about your music. Kind of take us back to how you got started. Did you begin as a Christian band, or were you guys kind of playing other music and then went into Christian genre, and just kind of tell us about your style of music as well?
In the beginning, I was in a few metal bands before this one. I played guitar, and they weren't really Christian bands. I actually left my last band because I was so into Christianity. I felt like it was the wrong thing to be in. I think there's a few members in that band that still hold vendettas against me. But I started this band, with the idea of a ministry somewhat behind it. And we've always kind of been the bad boys of the genre. I mean, we're a metal genre. People have labeled us with many different names. From metalcore to deathcore to, I just say that we're kind of like an experimental metal. Mm-hmm. It is really heavy. So, I mean, you gotta be ready to pack a heavy lunch whenever you come listen to it. But, you could listen to our lyrics from the previous album, and a lot of them you wouldn't even be able to tell we're Christian. We did a lot of standing up against corruption in the church. I think I probably stemmed that out of the non-denominational church I was part of. They kind of always talk shit on the other churches a little bit.
I bet that went over well.
Yeah. So, I feel so much better now. I've had this mindset probably for almost a year now, and not really sure how to tell people or anything. And it's taken a lot, many different processes before I decided to just, be honest. But I'm really happy with what's going on. Our last album was literally written in the transition of whenever I was going from all these struggles in my faith to completely shedding it. And so we were part of a Christian label for years. We stepped away from that, and we signed with a secular label called Luxor Records out of Michigan, and they've been really great with us.
Well, that's good. Yeah, the album was called War at Heart, wasn't it? Where your lyrics started changing?
Yeah. That's kind of I kind of, as I was writing it, that's that title of the album kind of like represents what was going on, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I had read your interview with HM Magazine, and there was like a couple of questions you were asked that I was like, this is an atheist in the making. When I was reading your answers, because you were still doubting, you had gone through that year of divorce and alcoholism, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I plummeted in the bottle.
Yeah. So
I haven't drank now for quite a while. I got into college, and I've been studying science. I'm gonna go start a program for surgical technology, and I would say, like, I don't want to be one of those atheism saved my life guys, but it really did awaken me on a lot of things. My health is completely improved. I had high blood pressure and stuff just because I'd been drinking so much. And now I've got all that under control through, just having a healthier lifestyle. And I've just been learning a lot. I've actually been enthusiastic about learning here lately.
It's amazing what happens when you open your mind, huh?
Yeah.
So I understand what you're talking about because I went through kind of the same thing. The only way, and people's ask me because I grew up as a Christian. I was born and raised in a religious household. I attended a Pentecostal church, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's the shouting, speaking in tongues. Yeah, I grew up in that. And the only way I know to describe what I felt when I become a teenager and I started questioning things, but yet what wasn't allowed to question things was painful. That's the only way I know to describe it. It was just painful because I had to force myself not to think. And I'm not the type of person that really is comfortable doing that. So, you get into a place. I mean, I really felt like I was falling deeper and deeper into depression because of it. And finally I'd had enough. So I'm with you, man. It's kind of the same road there.
It is something that you have to kind of break away from. I felt like I pretty much had to reprogram my mind. I went to church from whenever I was a little kid, and it's even encouraged within the church to indoctrinate the children when young.
Oh, yeah.
But there's such a paradox whenever you're telling kids about this book that has Jesus and Noah's Ark and, these happy stories, but then they don't share the stories of Jephthah or Lot or, these horrible, weird things that you're like, well, what? That's, it's Iron Age stories that it's just not relevant today about how glorious it is that a man sacrificed his own daughter for an exchange of a war victory. They don't tell kids that. And then whenever you get older and you find out those kinds of things, you're like, wait a second, this doesn't even add up.
Yeah. And then the answers you get when you ask are not what it's like they're apologizing. No, that's not exactly what it means. It means it's, you take it not literally, but as an example, this is what you don't do. So
yeah, the reasons and justifications are so reached for. I can, they'll find, you can find two horrendous sentences and they'll spend, half an hour trying to explain why you need to understand why God needed to murder those kids.
Right.
After you get so many things in your face, we could explain how perhaps long ago in evolution, rape was something that helped us go through a survival time, but that's not something that is relevant today. And
yeah, it's like God got a free pass on any atrocious thing that he ever did. There was always a way to justify it. And, but when you really got down to it and started asking the questions, you were told to stop asking the questions instead of getting answers. So that's a bad position to be in, for sure. So tell us about, you guys were on the road, as a Christian band, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I traveled a little while with a drama ministry group when I was in college and saw some really crazy, wild things. But that was not a Christian metal band. So I imagine you've got some stories, man. So
we're usually typical your normal metal band. Like the boys will get drunk at the show sometimes, and they make crude statements, fart too much.
Yeah, it's because you're talking about something that you were more or less making a living doing, and it was in conflict to what you were thinking. I come out of religion, but I didn't have an income staked in it, and I knew that you still are able to make great music, I'm sure. And taking away the Christian part of it doesn't mean that you stop making music, I hope. But, it is a significant shift in how you proceed. So, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how did it feel when you started questioning things? Did you talk with the other band members? Were they questioning things? Has the band come to this conclusion collectively, or is it just kind of you breaking off from the rest of the guys? How's that working?
Well, I was the main one that really wanted to push the Christian agenda. I was the one that really kind of wanted the ministry. And as I started going through this process, I was discussing this with them the whole time. Whenever I told them I wanted to step away from the Christian title, they were actually excited. They were like, finally. A couple of them were already agnostic. And then our guitarist, with me and him spoke a lot about it through the process. And he's kind of like made the steps with me. I think that I grew to a point where all of the good things about religion had been, been outdone by the bad things. And I mean, I somewhat feel like religion promotes like a mental virus, and that I was pretty much so disgusted with it that I definitely didn't want to be selling it. And I thought that maybe just stepping away from the genre title would change that, but that wasn't the deal. Everyone was looking for Christian stuff. And I feel like a lot of the Christian crowd, especially the people that only listen to Christian music, they're picky about what they listen to, and they kind of like want to be fed. They want to be fed like stuff that makes them feel good and spiritually good stuff. They don't. And I remember whenever I went through the divorce, I was talking about some of the depression and stuff. I went through that. And it was just completely sidestepped as like, I wasn't saying stuff like, empowering, spiritually uplifting things. There's a lot of Christian metal bands out there that do really good for themselves. But sometimes whenever you really dig into their lyrics, even though they have this aggressive marketing sidestep in the way they present their lyrics, you can still see that there's like this Joel Osteen formula of just saying what makes people, feel happy. And so I just couldn't buy it no more, and I couldn't sell it no more.
Is your lyrics now, are they going to change more toward like not so much putting Christianity down, but like expressing more about how you feel, maybe part of a little bit of your hatred toward it now?
Well, yeah, in our new album, I kind of already going down that direction. And I was just kind of talking about the stuff that I go through. I always I've had a lot of people ask what my lyrics are going to change to. And I've always just tried to write from my heart. On this new album, I've got a song about my daughter. I've got a song I wrote right after I completely shed the whole faith altogether. I've got a few songs that was leading up to that, and then some that I wrote after, like months after it happened, because the writing of this album was about a 6-month process,
right? And
it just so happened to land in this whole big paradox of questioning that I was doing. So I think you can see a shift of my lyrics in the new album. You can see where I'm getting angry, where I'm getting upset at the whole idea. We have a new lyric video coming out on Monday that really kind of, I guess, the song is called War at Heart. So it was kind of a self-titled track from the album. And I kind of go into why I stepped away, I guess.
Cool.
That is cool.
So tell us a little bit about the Backlash. People like to hear those type of things. One of the things that we try to cater to here are people who, we talk about this a lot. In the podcasting community, we feel like we offer a service of being able to relate or have something for people to relate to when they're coming out of religion. Like they will come to listen to a podcast when they can't even do something like pick up a book or watch a video or something because somebody might see them. A podcast being audio only can be very personal. So it's not something that has to be public, but yet they can listen to the ideas and the struggles of other people so they can relate to that. So that's why I asked this question. Tell us about the backlash that you've gotten, some of the comments that you've gotten, and kind of how you feel like that you're overcoming those things.
We've gotten some rather humorous situations. I mean, granted, we are, a band, but I know that everybody, no matter what position you are in life, you're going to receive some form of backlash typically whenever you're in, an American Christian culture and you decide to be honest about your atheism. We've had people tell us, and they're eager to let us know this. It's when rip our posters down, take our music out of their iTunes. One dude said that he gathered up all of our albums and put them in his backyard and burned them.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that was like some type of demonic.
I was going to say some kind of satanic ritual.
You're like, haha, dude, joke's on you. You had already bought it. So
I was like, I'm not even upset. I'm impressed.
There you go.
But, one thing I will say is whenever you do this, one of the common things I hear is the no true Scotsman. And so, people say that I was never a Christian in the first place. You're going to have to be prepared for that. People are going to say that. And just remember, they say that about their own people in their own church. They'll be like, he's not even a Christian, so that. And then another thing is people will discredit your authenticity. They'll be like, oh, well, he's just going through a stage. This is just a stage. Like, sure. There's a few of my family members, I don't even think they understand, like they just haven't wrapped their brain around. They're like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, right. I don't think you're an atheist. And I'm like, well, yeah. I qualify for the definition.
Right.
I think that whenever you take on a title, and this, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson said this, whenever you take on a title, you take on all the baggage and all of the other stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And before you even start a conversation, people will already assume that they know things about you that they don't know about you. And that could happen with any title, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of our mission, is to make or normalize the word atheism to where people don't have all of that. They eat babies, they worship Satan, all the crap that goes along with it that really has nothing to do with it. I'm sure you got the he wants to denounce Christianity because he wants to go out and live this bad life and he doesn't want to be accountable for it, right?
Yeah.
How many times?
I'm only an atheist because I want to sin, and I only support Bernie Sanders because I want free shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Go. And I bet you worship Satan too.
Yeah. Luckily, my daughter's already a toddler. I would have ate her by now.
Oh, it's a good thing you were a Christian, or she'd have been done for, huh?
No kidding.
Well, yeah, and I know in the church that I grew up with, even being a Christian metal band, you would have got shit from the people I went to church with. They're the type of people who would have been like, Leviticus 19:28 on your tattoos, dude, that kind of stuff. And so obviously the Christian metal fans are going to be a little more progressive than probably what the type of Christians that we were used to around here.
Yeah, I'm thinking of an audience full of millennials.
Yeah, but yeah, it's still got to be strange and kind of weird to come out of that. Now, you said you grew up as a Christian, right? You were...
Yeah. My family wasn't extremely religious, but they were believers, and they my mom would send me to church like on a bus. I didn't get like properly baptized until 20. So that was whenever I really dove in head first, into the religious culture. So yeah, I think that the product of me being like in a metal band with tattoos and stuff, the church I went to was very acceptable of that kind of stuff. They were kind of like I think that's kind of catching on to. You have these, what seems to be blowing up, the life breath of American religion is these non-denominational churches, because you're seeing more and more of the smaller, like mom and pop churches, somebody with a piano or, that kind of stuff is their congregations are dive bombing, while these new non-denominational churches are popping up with, modernized videos, and, your church isn't going to really do good in these days if you don't have like a screen up in the back.
Right.
That's,
They're changing
so
their recruitment tactics.
Yeah.
it is that they've changed their recruitment tactics to the point that I believe that just 30 years ago, 20 years ago, somebody that would be part of a church back then would step into one of our churches today and say, this is complete blasphemy.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
It's always been, I think that, not only has the culture changed, but the ideology has changed as science. As science changes, more things become metaphorical.
Right. I believe, and I've said this quote before and nobody's corrected me, I think it was Christopher Hitchens that said that the more we find out, the smaller God gets, the more science we understand.
I think it was Christopher.
The smaller that God gets. And I think we're seeing that, it's harder and harder and harder to hold on to a Christian faith, to any kind of religious faith that relies on a supernatural deity, when we're starting to figure out so much shit about the world. Yeah. It's really hard. Way back when it was easy to say, oh, I don't know how that tree got there. God did it.
Yep.
Done. But now we can't do that. I mean, you can Google how that tree grew there and somebody can explain it to you. So I'll tell you what was interesting. I remember when the internet really first started. I'm telling my age here a little bit. But I remember my preacher getting up in the pulpit and saying, this internet thing, this is bad for Christianity. This is bad for us. If we let this is going to bring demons into our lives, and this is going to be the way that people lose their faith. He was absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Information is the killer to Christianity or any kind of supernatural religion.
Yeah. To arm yourself with knowledge is to prepare yourself against bullshit.
Exactly.
I think that true science has been around for less than 200 years, and we're going up science is going up against a 2,000-year-old false science, because pretty much all religions are, kind of man's false attempt at understanding the world.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're going up against these age-old, but, in just the recent years, and science was doing a good job by itself, but after the new atheism movement kind of picked up, and you had the Four Horsemen step up and write some books after 9/11, I think America in 2005 or 6 was at a 95% people claiming Christianity, and now it's went down to like 75% with a 25% nuns.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
The non-religious community has well outnumbered the Jewish community in America. And
I think there's actually probably one day they're going to find out there's a lot more because of the prejudice against not believing in our country.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually embrace the name atheist until about a couple of years ago. I was raised no religion at all. I never believed. But I actually never took on the name until like 2 years ago. So I think they're going to find out that number is actually a lot higher. It's just a lot, it's like the trans issues. It's very dangerous to let people know you're trans. In certain areas of the U.S., it's dangerous to let people know you're an atheist.
Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of people hit me up that tell me that they're like, that's really awesome. I read your story. But I don't think I could ever come out with my family and stuff like that. And, at the same time, I really encourage a lot of people that have the opportunity to be able to be truthful and upfront about it. That's going to encourage others to come forth and do the same thing. But if your job or your home placement, like it depends on it and all that's at risk, you could lose your career or something like that. I don't think that it's quite worth that.
Exactly.
No, and that's again is why I think that it's important to be out when you can for the people who are not out, because we are trying to normalize atheism and make it not such a taboo.
Yeah.
I've told this story before. Some of my listeners have heard it before, but for somebody who hasn't, maybe they're listening to this one for the first time. I was outed as an atheist. against what I would have. I don't know if I'd be out today if it wasn't because of this situation. I may just be living my life and
Obscurity.
not doing much of anything, actually. But it was we had this thing in North Carolina. It was called the Amendment 1. Everybody was calling it the gay marriage bill, which it was trying to add. It had nothing to do with gay marriage, actually. It had to do with common law or civil unions, actually. It was actually dissolving civil unions and the ability for the state, for the government to pay benefits to people in civil unions. Well, that wasn't just gay couples, and this was all before the gay marriage become legal. So I was actually on Facebook arguing with somebody about it, and this guy that I went to church with when I was a kid saw me, and he started asking me some questions, and I was just being truthful with him and saying, no, he was like, well, what about what the Bible says? And I was like, well, I don't really care what the Bible says anymore. And he's like, what? So then he took it upon himself to actually go on my Facebook and pull up a bunch of my family and friends and send them messages. And he sent them screenshots of our conversation.
Oh my!
So he outed me.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, he thought he was hurting me. He thought that would cause me shame. And here's what it's done for me. I now am the founder and president of a humanist group that is growing every day in this area. I run the largest Carolina's secular conference. I have a podcast. I mean, he did me a big favor. He allowed me to get out, and because I no longer needed to be hidden, or I didn't have to be in the closet, for lack of a better term. I didn't have to hide. I could get out there and I could say, okay, now I'm going to be the voice for people who can't speak. Yeah. So that's what I decided to do. And I try every day to do that. And it's been a great experience because I get thanked by so many people. Now I get the shit too. Trust me.
Right.
I get the shit. I get the people, in my family that say negative things, but overall, the people who thank me and say, I'm glad that we have a humanist group now. I'm glad that we have this conference. Thank you for your podcast. Way far outweigh anything else. So he did me a big favor, and I thank him all the time. I've actually considered naming him and being like, "Hey, dude, thanks a lot." But I won't do that. I'll let him just stay under his rock. But
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so in saying all that, dude, I'm giving you a thumbs up because, thanks for having the courage to do what you're doing, because we need people, especially high profile people, who can step out and say, it's okay to think. It's okay to be skeptical and to question these things that these people are telling you, because they don't have any evidence for it. And they should be questioned. So good job, and appreciate you being out there doing that, dude. And
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, good luck to you. Do you have, are you getting ready to go on another tour?
Yeah, we leave next month. We're going through Colorado, Michigan, Texas. We've got all the tour dates on our Facebook page and Twitter page. Then in August, we're headed over to California, going down through like Albuquerque and Phoenix, and then up to Reno. So we'll be all over. And if anyone wants to check us out, we're the only Order of Elijah out there. So, you can Google us, you can find us. We're on YouTube. And, come check us out, follow us. From where I'm coming from, we're one of the only, openly atheist, new metal bands that are out there right now. So,
awesome.
If you don't like, metal music, maybe, like a nephew or someone else that might dig us. So.
Well, Major Mac, you got anything else?
Well, the only thing I can say to you, Shannon, is just stick, hang on and be with it. Keep spreading the word. You'll notice that your fan base is going to grow. It's never going to go back down again. You're probably bottomed out as far as you're going to get.
We have blasted up about 1,000 likes since.
Exactly.
It's really been a complete black and white. I'm really appreciative for the the welcoming committee from the atheist community. It's been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, these guys are really good. Ever since I've gotten into the atheist community, they have welcomed me with open arms, and so I know the feeling.
So we really appreciate you being on with us, and welcome to the club, I guess is all I can say at this
welcome
point.
to the Cool Kids Club.
For sure. All right, well, thanks so much, guys.
All right.
No, thank you. You take care, Shannon.
Have a good one. We'll talk to you
I'll
soon.
see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.